Hi everyone, thanks for watching. Just wanted to show you guys the 1980 CJ-5 I just got done redoing. So this is how it started. It was in pretty rough shape. Been sitting outside for a little while. Had rust in the floor pan, especially on the driver's side. Tires were pretty dry rotted. The seats were just a tad weathered, a little bad. Got it into the garage here. It amazed me how small it actually was. It's so short and fit in just about anywhere. The back seat was pretty much destroyed, and then that padding around the roll bar is gone. The hood had a big dent in it from it blowing up one time, and then the windshield actually was cracked, and the window frame was bent as well from it rolling on its side. Just getting it up on the jack stands here. Got it lifted up. And then just taking off the old wheels and tires. They're a little crusty. Lug nuts were a little bit rusted on there. They were just white steel wheels that were painted black at one point. And then starting to take off everything to get the axles off. Surprisingly, it wasn't too rusted underneath there. A lot of surface rust, but most of the bolts came off. I only had to torch a couple of them. Getting the front tie rod end off. Taking off the brakes. The other brake caliper. And starting to take off those U-bolts. There's the one leaf spring, and then the other one is able to drop the front axle out. There it is. It's a Dana 30. The spring under for the CJ. It's that narrow track axle as well. And then taking out the back. This one was the AMC 20. Still had the two-piece axle shafts. The old U-bolts off. I was actually surprised to see that it had a catalytic converter on there. I think it might have come from California at one point, I'm not sure. So the leaf spring shackles on the back were the only ones where I had to cut them because they were a little bit rusted on there. But really thankful to have air tools on this. Got that Mac half-inch air impact that did really good. My air compressor is tiny though, so it was always running. Took me a little bit to figure out how to disconnect the e-brake cables. They were a little rusted on there and packed full of mud. And then taking off the brake line. Got them power washed, and then just basically cleaning up everything because we're going to put a axle truss on the top here. I just tacked it on with my little 110, and then had my neighbor, he's a pipe welder. He actually was able to burn those in for me. Those trusses came from Taboo Customs. Found them on Amazon. They're reasonably priced. Took quite a long time to get those all set up on there. the front fenders off. And most of the bolts came off, and there's the new tires. I had to see what those would look like on there. It's the Mickey Thompson Baja Legend 35 1250 15 and a fuel lethal wheel 15 by 10. And I'm going to try to take the roll cage out because I needed to get that out so I could do the rust repair on the floor. So at first I was trying to get it out by myself with my engine hoist, but it wouldn't go up high enough. Eventually figured out how to get it out. I used a ratchet strap to bend the bottoms in so that it could slide out, because otherwise the brackets were hidden. This is testing that new MetalCloak Highline flare. So that's their fender flare, the 6-inch wide, and the roll cage was out. And that's their rock slider, and then their body armor for the back. Put in some LED lights. That's also, I got the new hood put on. Just grinding all the surface rust and gunk off the frame, and then put a little bit of that PUR15 paint on the top of it. That stuff brushes on or rolls on. Put it on in a couple of coats. Used it on a few projects, and it's always come out pretty well. Put it on the other side here. I'm starting to put on the new Rubicon Express 4.5-inch lift. There's their lift springs up front. And I put on a drop pitman arm that came with the kit. New brake lines, and then there's the back with the shackles. And at first they gave me the wrong rear shackle, so I had to reorder it, and they sent it to me. And there's the Rugged Ridge heavy duty steering link. And now it's time to cut out the rust on the floor. So the owner of the Jeep was telling me that it sat under a tree outside. And it makes sense because this is where all the rust was. Kind of pooled on that side. Got a replacement floor plan for it. So put it in with some self tappers at first, and then went around it with my welder. Then did some seam sealer and rust proof paint on it. I cleaned and painted the engine bay, so that's going to be the body color of the Jeep. That's the Rust-Oleum gunmetal. Then painted the engine. It was actually a Ford blue color, but kind of matched like the aesthetic of the Jeep. And then that's a power brake booster. With the new brakes on, the axles are all put together. So on the axle we got new ball joints, and then that's the Herculiner bed liner I put in. Then fixed the rust in the back. So I put that PUR15 underneath everywhere that the fender flares, and we're going to go over to help it from rusting. So I had to drill quite a few holes Went through a couple drill bits. And then the kit came with stainless steel lock nuts with a Allen head bolt. With a good help out putting it together. And there's the MetalCloak stubby bumper. Got the body armor all mounted up. So it's time to actually put the bolts all through it. Then that flare can go on. And then putting on the Holley Sniper EFI kit. Really made a huge difference. This Jeep had a few extra emissions pieces on it, kind of got in the way, so I actually had to reverse the throttle linkage to make it all work on this. I had to take the pin out on the EFI kit and put it in there the other way. But yeah, very impressed with the Holley EFI system. It was so easy to do. Made such a big difference in the old carburetor. Then just got some air cleaners for it. Got those at O'Reilly's. Now it's time to get it all stripped and ready to paint here. So lots of sanding and more sanding and even more sanding. So it's masking off the inside, keep it from getting all the paint inside of it. So still sanding a bit too, getting everything prepped and ready. I was going to paint it the same day, but you can kind of see that flag, it's super windy, so I decided just to get it ready to paint and then painted it the other day. So I was going to say the axles, they've got 456 gears in them. There's an Auburn locker in the back and an Eaton E-locker in the front. And then there's chromo shafts front and back. The back has the 10 factory single piece axle shaft conversion done to it. And did the HD ball joints in the front axle. And also rebuilt the hubs and everything up there, so that's all new. Yeah, I sanded it with 300 grit and then went over it again too with I think 150, and then like a prep wipe and some wax and grease remover. So I had already painted the dash, so I didn't want to redo it. So found out later my GoPro died, so it didn't record most of the paint, but I just ended up using Rust-Oleum rattle cans, and it came out really, really nice. Just trying to do more of a budget paint job on it. It still looked nice and clean. So after it was done, I went over it and wet sanded it to kind of get some of that orange peel away, and then to keep it kind of like an eggshell finish, I went over it with the magic eraser, and that really helped a lot. Because really didn't want it to be glossy, but wanted it to be smooth, so it's more of like a satin kind of finish. So this is the new windshield frame. It kind of came a little bit late. Had a couple dents in it, but reading online, it seemed like that was the majority of people ordering those. I got the bigger dents out, but still with a couple in there. Put all of the new little decals in there for the knobs, and all new knobs as well. And then wiring up the stereo, nothing fancy, just run with Bluetooth in it, and those speakers had blue LEDs in them, kind of go with that theme. I put the stereo in the center console. In the back I went with a Bora 2-inch wheel spacer, to replace the one that was there. So this is wiring up all the lights. So that took a little bit of doing. And then also the lockers. Because I put LEDs in, so I had to get run a different ground because the original lights grounded to the body. And those are the Best Top Trail Max seats. They're the reclinable ones. They were a denim black, but they actually came out more of a gray color. I have a PRP wheel. I also rebuilt the shifter assembly while I was in there. There's the buttons for the lockers. And then the halos had a turn signal built into them, and then I needed another light for the turn signal to work right, so I got one for a motorcycle and then put it underneath there, and it lights up the M logo for the MetalCloak. And then those are the MetalCloak tail lights. And after I started running it started leaking, so put a new front cover gasket in there because it was leaking a lot, and front seal, new oil pan gasket. Trying to clean up all the major leaks. They kind of show themselves after you get it warm. Starting it back up again. Put some new belts on there. Got rid of the gross heater hose that was there. It had garden hose for heater hoses. The new power steering lines too. Driving it around here. New windshield wipers. Put the star logo on there. The Air Force logo. I had to take kids around the neighborhood. Drove it 110 miles or so. Get some pictures of it here at the Air Force Base. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll post a link to the walk-around video. You can take a look at that. Kind of gets into a little bit more of the details of the build. But yeah, feel free to like and subscribe, and thanks again.